back to Hammered Leatherworks Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make the good dog collar. Why good, you say? A portion of the sale of these collars and of the leads that we make will be donated back to Greyhound Adoptions. Yay! So let's get started. To complete this project you're going to need a pair of scissors, a pen or a pencil, and if you're going to customize the collar with a dog's name or a phone number, then you'll need this printout from our website. So let's open the box and get started. So inside the box you can see we have our leather for our collar. This one's in the olive color. We also have the buckle and D-ring. Beautiful matte black in color. We have the manilla rope core. This is really strong and it's not affected by leather, so it's going to be a really fantastic addition to making that rolled leather style. We also have an all the small things envelope, which contains our needle and thread. It contains, we'll open it up. So there's our needle. And then we've got olive thread for the construction. And then we've got some waxed linen thread in various colors to do the adornment. The last thing is this gorgeous little certificate. You can pop your name on here and be super proud of what you've done. It's also a really great addition if you're going to give it to a friend. So let's shut this box and put it off to one side, and let's get started, hey? So the first thing we have to do is get the length of our collar right. So the Good Dog Collar Kit is designed so it can suit any dog neck from the smallest size of about a 20 centimeter circumference right up to one that's about 55. So what's really great about it is you make it to suit your dog. So if you've got a dog that sheds a lot in the summer or has a really thick winter coat, you can allow for that when you make it, which we think is really important. I'm just going to shuffle my things around a little bit just so we have some room to work. Alrighty, so I'll put this one over here. So all the focus is here because this is what we need first. So the first things you're going to need is your rope. Take your rope over to your furry best friend, wrap it around his neck and have the ends meet and trim it to that length. So I've already done that with this piece. So this is exactly the right size for our current foster greyhound, and we're going to make this collar for him today. So let's get started. So this is the end we need to adjust to suit. This is our everyday adjustable end where you've got the ability to make it smaller or larger depending on the season or the coat. So what we do is we place the rope in line with the middle hole of the everyday adjustable section, and then we run it down the middle of the collar, and then at the end point where the rope is, we're going to make a mark. So just here we're going to make a mark. Then what we're going to do is we're going to transfer these markings to this line. So where we've made our mark is where our slot will start. I'll lift that up so you can see a little bit more closely. As you can see in the leather here, there's a slot between the two L sections because it's going to fold over. So what we do is this point here now needs to be back here. So to do that, there's a couple of ways. If you're making quite a small dog collar, you can just cut this off and move it back to where you need it and then trace around it. If you're making one like me that's a little bit closer to the limits, what you do is you take a pen and you count the holes and you transfer the markings. So we know that from the end of the slot, there are 7 holes for between the end of the slot and the end of the shortest section. So we go to our mark and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we make another mark because we're going to cut it there. And then you do the same for the other side. We know I have to count this, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 holes between the end of the slot and the end of this piece. So we go to our mark and we make the same there. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and we make a mark. So now comes the fun bit. You break your scissors out and we're going to cut this on our markings And then once you've done that, you're going to cut all the way back to that first line so it creates the slit down the middle. You can just follow the holes that are already punched in the leather to make it nice and straight, keeping an eye out for the mark that you've made. There we go. Put those pieces aside because you're not going to need them. And there you go. You've got it. You've redone the end so it looks just like it did before. And now you're ready to customize your collar. So if you are going to add a name or a number or a pattern to this center section, then you're going to need the printout from the website and a pen. This great printout from the website gives you the ability to draw your design first so you can see how it's going to look and how you're going to construct each stitch. So it's really simple. There's 3 rows of dots that are exactly the same as they are in the actual collar. And you're just going to write what you want it to read. There's a little alphabet here as well that's written in straight lines. It'll make it a lot easier. So I'm going to make this collar for our foster boys. So I'm going to start by F, O, S, T, E, R, and then leave a space, foster. I'm going to put dog because our foster boys aren't always boys. They're sometimes girls. So there you go. That says foster dog. So what we'll do is you can also add extra designs on either side of that. So if you wanted to add some hugs and kisses, you can do that. You could also add a little triangle pattern detail if you want something that's a little bit more tribal. There's heaps of option, guys. So have fun with it. Take your time and plan out your design. There's lots of opportunities to do that. For today, I'm going to stick with this one here and adding a few little bits like this as I see fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the collar and I'm going to line it up. Now the holes, as long as you print this to scale, the holes almost line up perfectly. So if I want the words foster dog to be in the middle of my collar, what I need to do is consider the collar without the slot section because that's not going to have any rope in it. And we're going to fold the collar over, put a little bend in it so we can mark center, and then we're going to line it up. Now it's up to you whether you want to draw in pen and then sew over it. It's really easy if you don't want to do that. So I'm choosing to use yellow for my text. I think that'll look really great on the collar. If you don't want to do this, you can make the collars up plain. What I will do is when I edit the video, I'll put a little link of how far forward you have to skip to get onto the construction. So here we go. I'm going to start in the middle with the E and then we're going to work our way. Actually, I can start with the F. I'll start with the F and work my way across. So we are spelling out foster dog. So up we go. Now you don't have to be too concerned with the start and finish of this because it's not going to affect the construction of the collar at all. What you do need to do is make sure that you have a nice secure end, and I'll show you how to do that once we've finished making the adornment. So as you can see, I'm just following how I would write it. So if I draw a straight line that goes from top to bottom, I don't do that in 2 stitches, I do it in 1. Over to the next. Just make sure you're giving it a little tug after each stitch. You don't want to buckle the leather, definitely don't want to buckle the leather, but you do want your stitches to be firm. So here comes a more complicated leather, it's the S. So to create the S, we need to go across at the bottom, across the middle, and across the top. And then we're going to go down on this side. Oops, daisies. I'm going to turn this way so it stays out of our working area. And then down on this side. There's our S. So it was really simple to make that, guys. Just going to make our T. So same with the E, guys. If you're drawing in a straight line, you'd make it in a straight line. There we go, and the last letter is an R. There we go. Now we have the word foster. So I'm just going to do the word dog. Going to do so the D and the O don't look the same. I'm going to do the D looking like a triangle. Otherwise, I think the D and the O would look really similar. Okay, and the letter G. There we go. So now we have the words foster dog right in the center. What I'm going to do is change to a different color to do his little adornment. So to secure your ends when you've worked this way, it is best to feed them back through some of the stitches on the suede side of the leather, wrap around it, and then you put the thread through the loop and pull, and that'll knot it down. And then we're going to trim. You can leave a decent tail here, because when we put the rope in the middle of the collar, you're not going to see the tails, and the longer the tail, the more secure the knot will be. So I'm just going to unthread the needle, and to keep our work tidy, I'm just going to do the same with this one. Oh, it looks like I've already caught it in a stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the needle through some stitches I've already got in the back there, thread the thread through the needle, that's it, and then pull. There we go, it's nice and secure. So for the foster dog, so I'm going to put this paper aside now because we're finished with it. I think I'm going to add some red details to our foster dog collar. So threading the needle once again, I think I'm going to put some triangles. I think some triangles would look pretty cool. So So here we go. So you can do any kind of design you want. Have fun with our worksheet, and then it will show you how your stitches will come together too. You can also add numbers this way. So if you wanted to add your dog's phone number, you could do that as well, which if you're using this as a house collar, is a great idea. So if he gets out, he's identifiable without having the need to be taken to the pets or calling for a ranger to scan their microchip. So there we go, we've done that. I'm going to secure the end like we did before by pulling it back through some of the stitches we made and taking the needle through the loop. And trim and tuck. So I'm just going to repeat this on the other side to give the collar some nice balance. We did 4 triangles, so we will do the same again. There we go. So now I have my balanced collar with the triangles on both sides of the foster dog. And I'm just going to finish it the same way we did before. I'm going to go through some stitches we've already made and pull the needle through the loop, which will make a lovely little tucking knot there, and trim. So before we get started on the construction, what you want to do is take all your little threads that you've got on the back of this and you push them against the linen that's already in the holes on the back of your item. Because this is a waxed linen thread, it will stick to itself quite securely, and it's going to have pressure on it as well when we put the rope in the middle of the core. So it's going to have a nice push on that, make sure it's all secure. Awesome. So before we move on to the rope, the first things we've got to do, so this is the construction now of the actual collar, so we can do away with our pen and our sheet. You will need your scissors, your rope, your D-ring, your buckle and your thread. So to get started, the first thing you do is you take your D-ring and you're going to thread it onto the longest part of the L section at the end of the collar, pushing it all the way back, the slit in the leather. See, all the way along. Now we're going to add the buckle. So holding the leather with the tabs facing outwards, and take the buckle. You want to make sure, I'll put this on the table because it's probably a little bit easier to see. See how the tooth has a secondary bar parallel behind it? That's the bar we're going to weave over. So you're going to take the leather, you're going to feed it up through the buckle, you're going to go over that parallel bar that's the closest one to you and pull. So see, they have nothing near that bar with the tooth on it at all. So how far do you know how to pull it? Now that's quite simple. So once you've fed the buckle on, you're going to fold the collar in half. You put the buckle bar to the end of the cut section. Then you fold the leather over, and that will envelop that bar on the end there with very little resistance, which is good. We don't want it rubbing because rubbing means wear. Okay, so once we've done that, we're getting ready to stitch. So you don't have to cut this thread in order to make the collar. You can sew it in one piece if you like, but if you want to trial your stitching skills first, you can sew this section here on its own as its own piece of thread. We're not going to do that today. I'm actually going to use the whole piece of thread included in the kit. So pinch the end and thread our needle. There we go. Alrighties. Now, if you haven't seen our Stitching 101 video, now is the time to go and watch it. You want lovely stitches, you want it to look great and last a long time, then you need to know how to do it and how to do it well. So go do that now. If you've already watched that, or if you've made a project before, let's get started. So as always, we're going to start between the layers. I'm just going to turn this way because I think it'll be the easiest way for you guys to see what's going on. Down here, the light's best. I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to take it all the way across to the other side, to the short seam side from the long seam side. I want that tail there so we can pull on it at the end. We don't want to close it into the seam just yet. So now all of these stitches are going to go through 3 layers of leather. Yes, you heard me right, 3 layers of leather. So you've got this piece, and this piece. All right, so we need to make sure when we go through that very first hole, we get through all 3 layers of leather, because that's going to make it easier for us to get through all the rest of the stitches, because that first one's going to really anchor our stitching row. So there we go. So we're doing complete stitch there. Don't pull on it too tight because you'll lose your tail like I almost did. You want that little tail. Okay, so off we go, up and down. So when you reach the D-ring, which is where we are now, we've sewn our stitches, we've reached where the D-ring is. What I like to do is actually do a stitch that goes over and encases the D-ring, because it makes it a heck of a lot more secure. So there we go. By that I mean, I'll show you. So I'm going to fold this D-ring towards me and I'm going to go down. So I folded it towards me and I'm going to go down here, and this is actually going to put a loop of thread around the D-ring itself and really hold it securely in position. It's also going to take the pressure off the D-ring pulling on the cut edge of the leather itself. So now we are going to go back the way we came. Off we go. So there we go, we're now back where we started. We have a full line of stitching between the buckle and the D-ring itself. We're going to put a, we've already put a second thread in this side. We're going to put a second thread on the back side. Layer of leather as we would at a start and finish. So I want to show you this. So I've pushed through the hole on the back and straight out the side of the collar itself. So that completes that reinforcing stitch we started in the beginning. And then we're going to start working on the main section of the collar. So as we did before, up and down until you reach the D-ring, and then encase the D-ring. Here we go, so we've reached the D-ring stage. So once you reach the other side of the D-ring, you're going to keep going and we're going to do the whole length of the collar. So once you've reached this stage, So we've sewn all of the small side, we've sewn the long side till just past the D-ring. Now is when we incorporate the rope. So this is really important to catch this. What you're going to do is you're going to take your rope that you've already trimmed to size and you're going to tuck it in. You're going to tuck it in to the very edge there. Pull the leather around the rope like so. And you're off. Up and down, tucking the rope into the core all the way along. Make sure you give it a firm pull so it pulls around the rope itself, but not so hard that you buckle the leather. So you see I've started there. We'll keep going. Okay, so once you reach this point, so we've sewn all the way along and now the rope is hanging out the edge at the everyday adjustable section where the large holes are. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the leather back so just the rope itself is sticking up. We're going to trim the rope to size. This occurs because of the way we construct the end where the buckle is. So for those of you that I'm just going to get a sharper pair of scissors. Here we go. There we go. So trim that a little bit more actually because we don't want it getting in the way of the hole. There we go. Let's move that aside. There we go. So now the rope is in line. It is not protruding past the everyday adjustable holes, and we just keep going right up to the end. Okay, we'll give this a bend and a bit of a squeeze so it naturally is folding and lining up. Right, here we are. We've reached the end, so we've gone all the way across. So it looks like every second stitch is missing. We've got our lovely little foster dog design on the top. Now you can really see what it's going to look like. Now we're going to go back the way we came to fill the stitches in between to end up where we started, near the buckle. So remember to take your time, think up on the left, down on the right, and to make those stitches look really lovely and to pull into line really nicely. So I'm just going to do a few slow stitches here to remind you, and then we'll go faster. So down on the left, and I'm going to come up on the right. Down on the left, up on the right. So there we go. Keeping that tension so they keep all nice and flat and lovely in line. And off you go, all the way to the buckle. So once you reach the D-ring, you're just going to stitch through it as you did on the other side. So here we go, we're pushing the D-ring over. I'm going to come up the hole and down. Push the D-ring back the other way and keep going. So once you reach the end, which is where we are, you can see where we put our double stitch in on the first run on the short side. Now we're going to do the same on the long side. So down we go and up, and we're going to go down again. So we're double on this side, but we're single on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle, we're going to put it through one layer of leather, weaving it into that hole and taking it straight across and push it straight out the other side. And pull. A good pull on that thread. And then we don't tie knots in the dog collars, and you just trim. We'll do the same for this little tag we've got hanging out from the beginning. And guess what? You're done. That's it. That is the entire collar done and dusted. And then if you, as I said before, you should be sitting right in the middle of the everyday section when you use it at first. You can use the D-ring to tuck the extra leather behind. You can also use it to attach the lead. And there you go. You see the foster dog design there. It's really, really clear to read. And it's got a great amount of colour to it. And when that's sitting on your dog's neck, the stitching edge faces down. So you can imagine people will actually get to see that gorgeous amount of colour that you've put in there. So if you've got any questions, post them below or contact us on the email, Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and we hope that you and your pooch enjoy the good dog collar. Have a great day, guys. Bye.